Hello, welcome back. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Let's talk about existential crises today. Who said we ever avoided the tough subjects here? Because I certainly never said that. Yeah. Well, let's talk about this. So, a little bit of preface to this discussion. First of all, this is something that comes up on the spiritual path. Now, it may not have come up for you, and perhaps it never will. However, it's common enough for spiritual students at any point in time. It's common enough that it warrants some occasional discussion. And as it turns out, there's a lot that can be said about this because it takes many different forms. So we'll approach one of these forms here today with an eye toward what we practically can and need to do. And as always, my hope is that this will inspire you to practice. It will inspire you to delve into this material. It will inspire you to entertain ideas such as God is, and you're one with God. Ideas leave not their source. There is no separation of any kind. Who, what, and where are you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that, just that. Yes, despite all of the complexity that we heap upon ourselves in the world, just yes. What else? So I hope that it inspires you to take these ideas to heart, to forgive the Son of God, to lift the veil so that you may see things as they really are and truth can dawn of itself. That's enlightenment, everyone. We don't reach that. It does not happen until we have clarified our perception. We don't see things as they are. We see ourselves as separate. We are not. Once we've fully and completely clarified our clarified perception is so like to knowledge that it's absorbed into it automatically. It's so close to the knowledge of God that it's said here in the Course that God takes the final step himself. In other words, we're awakened. Where? In God, where we've always been. This is a dream. So that leads me to this point about existential crises. They're common enough on the spiritual path, and they're not limited to any one particular tradition. It's frequent in some traditions for students to reach a point where they have begun to entertain the idea that this is a dream, that they think that what we do and say, how we show up here in the dream, no longer matters at all. Once people begin to experience our oneness, some of them, of course, are overjoyed, and that's ideal. Yet, some people fall into a bit of an existential panic, or a lot of an existential panic. Even nihilism, thinking, yeah, I don't exist. Oh, of course you do. God is. Remember? So, yes, you do. Not in the form that we see in the mirror. That's not us. Yet, there are spiritual students of many traditions that think, okay, well, so this world's a dream. This never happened, and I was never here. So what does it matter? What does it matter how I show up? I'm just going to go back to the couch. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to become slovenly and depressed. I'm just going to sit here Nothing matters. Whatever. Who cares? So, from the standpoint of A Course in Miracles, here's why that if you've felt that or you're feeling it now, you shouldn't give in to that. I invite you not to, for a couple of reasons. Number one, throwing your hands up and saying it doesn't matter at all is making an opponent out of the world. It's making it real to you. You're saying, screw this. That's dualistic. It involves a subject and an object. Apparently, outside of you, you're making it real. We're invited not to make our perception real. We don't see things as they are. So don't make it real to you. We make opponents everywhere we go. We don't have to do that. We have no opponent. There is only perfect oneness. So if you're experiencing one of these nihilistic moments or an ongoing series of these moments, that's a place for you to keep forgiving, keep going, forgive the world, forgive yourself for dreaming it, just as we do all of the time here in the study and practice of A Course in Miracles. Forgive, 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 forgive. So we don't want to make an opponent out of daily existence. It's not opposed to you. There is no world, remember? What world? What body? So why does it matter how you show up? Well, I'll tell you why it matters. It matters because there's one mind and we're joined. There is only perfect oneness. So here's the thing. There are people out there in the world right now that will respond best to you. I will not be able to reach them with the love of the Holy Spirit anywhere near as effectively as you will for any number of reasons, which could include the fact that they'll never watch these videos and they'll never know that this thing appears to exist. Emphasis on appears. Yeah. Remember, this isn't us. They'll never hear the teachings from me, but they could certainly see and feel and receive the love of the Holy Spirit through you. There are people out there that only you can really, truly reach. So we're invited not to leave them abandoned in separation and hell. We're invited not to leave our brother in hell. So we show up and forgive, and we clarify our perception over and over and over again. There are people out there that are counting on you. If you've gone to the couch, throwing up your hands, saying, "And none of this matters." Yes, it does. It's not real, yes, but how you show up matters. And if you're having these moments of none of this matters, why should I even bother? That means that it's time to forgive what's appearing in your experience. The world, for starters, yourself for dreaming it, any dream images that arise to give you discomfort, understand that it's all in our mind. When we forgive, who are we forgiving? Exactly. Ourselves. Why? There is no separate other. What happens when we go forth and forgive our brother, when we go forth and shine the light on them, when we go forth and extend love to them, they recognize themselves. As they respond with love, we recognize ourselves. We recognize our oneness. It's very important that each of us plays our part of forgiving. In fact, this plan of forgiveness, the Holy Spirit's plan of forgiveness, is perfectly brilliant because we can't wake up without it. This is how we do it. As you shine light on your brother, as you extend love, as you share the Holy Spirit with your brother recognizes himself in you. You recognize yourself in him. That's how it works. And forgiveness shows us that minds are joined. There's one mind. It's joined. So we're invited not to give in to a sense of existential malaise. I mean, you know that you're not a body anyway, or you wouldn't be here. And you certainly wouldn't have arrived at a point where you've walked far enough on the path, in a manner of speaking, to have these crises coming up. I mean, before we set out on what we refer to as a spiritual journey, we may have inklings of this, but it's only when we begin to delve into it that we begin to really see how many forgiveness opportunities we in fact have. I mean, and they're absolutely legion, aren't they? They're coming up all the time because anything that is not wholly joyous is an opportunity for us to forgive. So we show up, number one, not to make an opponent where there is none to be made. In other words, not to further delude ourselves. And we show up because our brother needs us. It is 100% possible, and I can tell you from direct personal experience in this lifetime, appearing to be this thing here that you see, I can tell you from direct experience that it is 100% possible to appear in the world and be fully functional in it, continuing to do what we do, like pay the light bill, hold down a job, eat, breathe, and sleep, and communicate with our brother in a form that they can relate to. That's what the body is to be used for. It's a communication device for the Holy Spirit. So you're invited to give the Holy Spirit the physical body and your entire experience for that purpose. So it's possible to show up not believing in the reality of this at all. This is not me. That's not, when you look in the mirror and you see your reflection, that's not you. It's not who we are. This course is very clear about that. And you're ready to hear it. Welcome. For whatever reason, you're watching this video today. And if you've tuned in to other videos in this series on this channel, there's a reason why. You're ready to hear this today. We have every reason to continue to show up and look normal. I mean, this looks like a 52-year-old man from Arizona. It's a form that people can relate to. And there's absolutely no mistaking the fact that in this illusion of time, it's 2024 in this Gregorian calendar, which of course we've completely made up. What that means is we have this technology available to us so that we may reach one another, which is a beautiful thing. You could live on the other side of the world. And in fact, many of you do. This is a completely international community. It's YouTube. And it's also no mistake at all that this conversation is happening in English, in a language that's widely understood as a communication device for the entire world. Of course, not everybody speaks it, but more people will get this message as it's delivered right now than if it were delivered in another language with fewer speakers, correct? Exactly. There are no mistakes in the Holy Spirit's plan for salvation. We each play our part, so I invite you to play it. You don't have to believe that any of this is real in order to continue to participate in it. We're doing it so that we may learn our forgiveness lessons and that we may show up and extend love to our brother, which is how we learn of our perfect oneness through our practical application and experience. So if we're just sitting on the proverbial couch, we're not getting that practical experience. So we're not awakening. So you have every reason to do that. All right. So I thank you, as always, for tuning in. And this video is pre-recorded. As you watch this, my wife, Cindy, and I are on the beach in Mexico. So we frequently travel, and when we do, I often choose or request from you all topics that you'd like to hear about. And this is one that continues to come up. So along those lines, if you have particular questions, I'd love to hear from you. We've had a number of very, very interesting and poignant discussions right here in the comment thread on YouTube. So that is certainly always an option. And if you have something that you're just not sure about and that you'd like to see addressed here in a single video or even a series of videos, I'm more than happy to do that. We can always pause our journey through the text of A Course in Miracles because, as I'm fond of saying, and of course it's true, it's going to be there when we get back, just waiting for us. So, questions and comments are most welcome. If you have not yet subscribed, I invite you to do that. Several videos appear here each week. And again, when Cindy and I travel, we're pre-recording them. This is the prompt to subscribe. So click that arrow, hover over that arrow. You'll be invited to subscribe and join us. So please do that. And I thank you, as always, for tuning in. I'll speak to all of you very soon.